Pretty heavy hitter. Department of Truth, issue 7. We continue the backstory, gaining knowledge of Lee Harvey Oswald.
Ooh, this issue was so close to being my pick of the week.
Tell me why.
It skilled me. It made me get skilled.
So when you read it and I hadn't read it, you were like, read this with the lights on. It'll freak you out. I didn't. I mean, not for me.
Yeah.
It didn't scare me. But that being said, the demon baby eating guy that freaked me out. But that was in a previous issue.
Yeah. I guess
we just got different. Different
things,
fears. Yeah, I get it.
So this book basically introduces us to a character, Doc something, but Doc is pretty much what he's known as. And we sort of get a history of who Doc is and how him and Lee Harvey Oswald meet. Mm-hmm. Because he's down there in the room that Lee was left in from the previous issue, but now he's actually in his suit, so we can tell, some time has passed.
Right.
And it flashes back to their first meeting. And so basically they meet in a diner because this kid is 17 years old and he calls himself Doc, and he is writing basically summaries of encounters with the Men in Black that he has heard about. Mm-hmm. And he promptly decides to send those copies of his little magazine to the FBI and the CIA and Homeland Security, whatever, all the big agencies. And so this obviously gets the attention of the Department of Truth. So they send out Lee Harvey Oswald.
Is that who that? I thought that was the... Because I thought Lee Harvey Oswald met Doc in the archives.
Oh, did I read that wrong?
I think who Doc was meeting at the diner was the original chief.
Oh, yeah. No, you're right.
That's who it is.
That's my bad. Yeah, you're right.
No, you're good.
Regardless, that's not the point. The point is that a member of the Department of Truth is having a conversation with Doc, and they're, Doc basically lays down conspiracy theories on alien sightings and the Men in Black. Mm-hmm. And I like that we're just expanding the envelope of conspiracy theories that are going to be involved in what the department has to handle. It's the thing that I like most about this book is we actually get preview pages or actual pages of what his magazine would have looked like.
Yeah.
With good amount of text in there describing different encounters with the Men in Black. And
those were kind of creepy, reading the descriptions of it and what they were capable of doing and just how ominous their presence was and why people were just so freaked out by him.
Exactly. Also, before we go any further, when Lee Harvey Oswald first meets Doc in the beginning, he's wearing what I was so confused at first was is this an oversized yarmulke or is this guy got scarf on his head or something? But then it turns out he's wearing tinfoil on his head.
Full on tinfoil hat.
Full on tinfoil hat. So after the man, whatever his name is, from the Department of Truth and Doc have their meeting and they talk about, what he's been writing, Doc, walks back home and goes back to his house, and then all of a sudden starts to have his own experience with a Man in Black. He walks into his house and opens or answers the phone and starts all of a sudden getting a really bad headache and starts getting, dizzy and disoriented. And then one of the Men in Black appears in his house and then decides that he's floating over toward is floating over towards him. And
that'd be creepy.
I don't know what it is. I want, so these Men in Black kind of remind me in a vague way. I think maybe this picture would be the best to see. they kind of remind me of Slender Man, and for some reason that just oogs me out.
Yeah.
And mental things kind of oog me out too, and so because you can't argue their reality, right? Because it's in your head.
Right.
Whereas, like, I'm not really worried about people out there eating babies because they're not eating me or my babies. So
I'm not afraid of that. No, I'm not afraid of that concept. It's the same thing for our main character. Like it's always behind him, right? Like it's like this entire concept of this book is like it's all in your head, right?
Right.
And so your fears become conspiracies as well. Like same thing with these men in black, same thing with the demon eating baby guy. Like he's always consistently feeling like there's some, like, that feeling when you feel like someone's watching you, but you're the only person in the room. Like that's the consistent feeling that this book does. And I'm feeling like that's what you felt like when you were reading this issue. Like I totally get that. Like it makes you uneasy. And then the problem with the whole problem with the book, and I say problem, the Department of Truth, like people, their fears and their conspiracies become reality, right? So this kid's fears and conspiracies come true with the men in black, that's the scary part, right? But then it gets even freakier because when he gets confronted by this man in black, it turns into the woman with no eyes, and she says something really fucking ominous that I was like, that's where I got kind of freaked out. I was like, I don't like that.
Tell the man that she is angry.
Right, and she's like, like she's...
Well, and the worst part is Doc's he's slowly trying to fold this foil over his head and protect himself, and then his nose just starts gushing blood, and I'm like, no,
I'm good.
I don't know, for whatever reason, it just it oogs me out right now. I'm glad I can see my camera, so I can see back behind me right now.
Exactly, but then what if the camera, because it's like Dracula, they don't show up their cameras because there's a mirror and don't look back there, dude.
Don't say that shit. Oh my God.
I will be very interested to see or not see when this becomes a TV show, because if it's too damn scary, I can't. I'm not gonna be able to watch it. Here's my number one. Buy it for $500. I'm done. I'm out.
Right. I can't do this.
But again, this is another one of those books that will say if you're not picking up Department of Truth, what are you doing? You should be, because it is really good. It's eerie and it makes you feel very uncomfortable, but the writing is spot on. Tynion is a freaking god. He's just killing it.
Also, by the way, if you are on the fence about jumping on, you're like, oh, I don't want to have to try to go find the issues, and number one now is gotten really expensive. This is one of the books that qualifies for Image's $10 first trade. And it's the first 6 issues for $10. Issue 7 just came out, and it's so popular now that most comic book stores are ordering enough that they're going to have this on the shelf. So you could go spend $14, have 7 issues, and you're back. You're right where everybody else is in the story.
For sure.
But very easy to get in on it.
So that is Department of Truth number 7. Cannot wait for the next one. I think the next one we're dealing with Sasquatch or at some point. I can't remember. Anyway.